We're on the road showcasing America's music lifestyle, taking you to the best landmarks, museums, and all sorts of other iconic destinations. Welcome to Music Road Trip.
Then you got the Midnight Rider, that's everybody's special.
It's gonna get southern.
Try and find collard greens and black-eyed peas in California.
It's gonna get soulful.
Sam Cooke was truly, truly his idol.
And you can feel the history everywhere you go.
It was Little Richard, James Brown, Otis Redding, and they were all just churning music out of here.
In Macon, Georgia, history.
The world didn't know what was about to hit them.
Music.
They were making great music, and this just happened to be where it happened.
And food.
I hope y'all got a big appetite.
Are the heartbeat of the town. That's all right here on Music Road Trip. Welcome to Macon, Georgia, the heart of Georgia as it's called thanks to its location near the state's geographic center and the fact that it's acted as an incubator for some of America's most legendary artists. Is home to an array of museums, national historic landmarks, prestigious schools, and much more. We wanted to make our first stop at the Otis Redding Foundation, a one-of-a-kind facility with a museum full of Otis artifacts that was started in 2007. Carla Redding Andrews, Otis's middle child, was there already, prepared to tell us about the foundation's exciting history and future.
He always had a philanthropic spirit. He wanted to do summer camps every year at our 300-acre ranch, and he just wanted to bring kids out and get them to talk to industry professionals and really get those industry professionals to promote the importance of an education. And that's what we do here with the Otis Redding Foundation, which is housed here in the museum.
So when did you start the foundation, and tell me about some of what you do with
the
kids?
So we started in 2008 with our first Otis Music Camp program at the Georgia Music Hall of Fame. One program is all we had, and we wanted to, inspire those young musicians to write, record, produce their own music. We started with 7 little campers, and now we've grown, of course, to 10 plus programs with 2 summer camps where over 50 kids are involved in each of the programs. So it's grown by leaps and bounds, and now we've just stepped out to get our new Otis Redding Center for the Arts, which we hope will open in the summer of 2023, a 9,000 square foot space that will house all of our programs, from Otis Music Camp to Camp Dream to Beyond the Notes to We Write the Songs to private lessons to group lessons to every single thing that we do under this umbrella will be housed in that new center.
Well, we are sitting in the museum part of the foundation, the Otis Redding Museum. Tell me about how you collected all these artifacts.
Wow. Yeah, it's unbelievable that we are even sitting here in this. We started back in 2007. We wanted to do this huge exhibit for my dad at the then Georgia Music Hall of Fame. And so I spoke to my mother, and she was like, well, only if I had all of Otis's clothes, or if I had kept his cars, but I do have a few things. And I said, well, Mom, what is it you do have? Because our house, our ranch, is of course all the accolades from the Grammys to, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame awards. But in terms of documents and shoes or his briefcase, I did not even know that existed till she said, well, go up there to the attic, and there's a few boxes up there. So I said, a few boxes are in the attic? Yeah, just go, and we'll get them down, and you can go through those. So we went through those boxes and found just magic.
When you come to Macon, Georgia, be sure to visit this one-of-a-kind museum at 339 Cotton Avenue so you can see all of this wonderfully soulful history yourself. OtisReddingFoundation.org has all the info you need. And while you're in Macon, stop into Piedmont Brewery and Kitchen, where Carla recommends getting the Otis beer, or Mr. Pitiful's Pilsner, smooth and easy, just like Otis was on stage. And of course, breakfast at the H&H. Half a mile from the Otis Redding Foundation, this historic haunt, which we'll take you to later, will blow your mind with their Biscuit of the Week. And to dig deeper into Otis's creative beginnings and his connections to other legendary artists from Macon, look no further than Rock Candy Tours. We caught up with Jessica Walden to learn more about the city that helped shape some of America's most important music.
I'm actually going to walk you back in time a little bit to where it all began truly, which is is kind of the gateway into Macon with our Douglas Theater. This theater is still active and has regular events. It actually still has talent shows, just like the old days. This is where the Black entertainers could go, perform, be safe, and this became the happening place. Ida Cox, Bessie Smith, Ma Rainey, later Cab Calloway, Duke Ellington, they all performed here. African-American film directors would come here to show their movies, and even some of the white artists, when they were in town performing at our Grand Opera House, would hold over a few nights. So even Harry Houdini played here because he knew the Douglas is where you wanted to be. Later, during the jazz, after the jazz age, the R&B started really bubbling up out of here, and this is where the weekly talent shows would happen, and this is where Otis Redding performed, and eventually James Brown as well. Because as we talked about, I mean, if there were the three of them, it was Little Richard, James Brown, Otis Redding, and they were all just churning music out of here. James Brown, the Godfather, Augusta likes to claim him, but I'm here to say he got his start in Macon. He actually performed at a bar right up the road from here called the Two Spot, and he was there. He wanted to meet Little Richard desperately. He saw Richard, and he told Richard who he was. Little Richard wrote 3 words on a cocktail napkin and handed it to James Brown, and those 3 words were, please, please, please. And James Brown took that napkin, decided to make a song out of it. Who knows what Richard meant by it, but he was determined to make music out of it, and he took it right up the road here, about a block and a half away, and actually laid down his first big hit, Please, 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 in a radio station, WIBB.
The Douglas Theater has been a cultural cornerstone in Macon for over 100 years, and it continues today as a vibrant hub for live music, theatrical performances, film festivals, and more. Check the events listings to catch a show on your next visit to Macon and learn more about this historic establishment at douglastheater.org. As our Rock Candy Tour continued, it naturally led to Macon's next great era of music, Southern rock, a genre fused by a band that put its roots down just a couple of miles away from the Douglas and would change the history of Macon and the world forever, the Allman Brothers. Coming up, we're going deeper into Macon's music history with stops at Mercer Music at Capricorn.
That's kind of how it became the home of Southern rock.
The Allman Brothers Band Museum.
It got deemed the big house, and it just kind of stuck.
The H&H and more.
All the Southern rockers you see on the wall, yeah, they ate here.
Right here on Music Road Trip. In Macon, Georgia, there's no shortage of good times. Whether you're on the search for the most inspiring mural, ready to hit the trails with a friend, or simply need to get fuel for the brain before the next museum visit, this town's got it all. Speaking of museums, we made our way to Mercer Music at Capricorn, where a museum, sound studios, and much more are housed at the original location of the historic Capricorn Sound Studios, where the Allman Brothers, the Marshall Tucker Band, Charlie Daniels, and so many others cut some of their biggest hits. We caught up with the studio manager and chief engineer to get a feel for the past and current state of Capricorn.
Capricorn started in 1969 as both a record label and then as well as Capricorn Studios. Before it was Capricorn, it was Redwall, short for Reddington Waldens. It started as a company shared between the great King of Soul Otis Redding and the Walden brothers, Phil Walden and Alan Walden. So this place originally opened as Redwall Studios, but was quickly rebranded into Capricorn after the Allman Brothers showed up. And that's kind of how it became the home of Southern rock.
So how did the Allman Brothers come together?
Dwayne was doing session work in Muscle Shoals, and I believe it was Jerry Wexler from Atlantic Records called up Phil Walden and said, there's this guy playing over at Sessions in Fame Studios, you got to go see him. And when Phil Walden went to Fame and saw the amazing skill and potential that Dwayne Allman had, that's when he bought his contract from Rick Hall, who owned Fame Studios, and brought Dwayne to town and gave him the resources of a young label to kind of build his dream band. So the Allman Brothers had their first jam session in Jacksonville, and once they realized they had a good thing going, they all packed up and moved up here to Macon, home of their new record label, Capricorn.
So which Allman Brothers albums were recorded here at Capricorn?
The Allman Brothers spent almost every day they weren't out on the road here in Studio A. The early years were rehearsals and recording demos, but it wasn't until the Brothers and Sisters record, recorded in 72, 73, that was all done here. And then Win, Lose or Draw, the record that followed that, was also here for the most part as well.
Yeah. And Greg's solo record was down here.
Yeah, Laid Back, Greg
Yeah.
Allman's solo record in
I guess
1973.
Dickie's solo record down here.
Yeah, Highway Call, the same
Yeah.
year. Yep, I believe 1973, 74.
Eventually, Capricorn closes. Why did it go under?
I think you could blame disco, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a mix of variables. It wasn't really because of a lack of business. They were pretty busy. We know because we're lucky enough in our archives to have some of their studio schedules from the last few years or few months of operation. We knew they were quite busy, so it was kind of a mix between a change of the scene and business decisions. But yeah, they ended up closing their doors in the very early 80s, and this place went quiet for a while.
Mercer University had the vision of putting all this together. So we are Mercer Music at Capricorn, and there are 4 buildings here. So we have the museum with the gift shop underneath, and we have our own bar over there too, which is fun.
I noticed that.
Yeah, right. And then of course the building we're in now houses Studio A and Studio B. And the control room, when you get down to the end of this, we have an incubator there. So there's 12 band rehearsal rooms that are all completely booked, full of bands practicing, and you never know, the next Otis Redding may come out of that, or whoever. But there's a lot of synergy of collaboration going on over there, and we've seen some of those projects come over here and record and just been amazed.
So while most people can't actually come inside and see the studio, there is a museum here.
Yeah.
And I know that some of those artifacts went poof, and then you had to bring them back. How did that happen?
We've been pretty lucky with the amount of not just Capricorn memorabilia that has made its way back here, but all the wonderful stories. So much gray area was around Capricorn after it had shut down, but since we've opened, light has been shined on that gray area. We've heard some incredible tales of all the great music that were done here. Stories that really only got told around the kitchen table before we were able to reopen the doors and invite everyone in. So our museum is a cool interactive environment where people have the opportunity to listen to all the records that were recorded here, check out original tapes, handwritten contracts, kind of get to relive the timeline of Capricorn. It's a cool, unique environment where we put a lot into a space like that. Yeah. A lot of our visitors kind of expect this to be the museum, and technically this is our office. This is where we work every day. So it's nice having a big multi-use facility where we have space and services that can accommodate anyone in the music scene, from the music fans in our visitors lounge and museum to recording artists here in the studio, and then local musicians and up-and-comers in our music incubator. So it's great having so many wonderful dynamic people under one roof.
A historically rich museum and facility like this can't be missed. Visit capricorn.mercer.edu to learn more about how you can absorb some of the vibrant music scene that Macon still houses today. Speaking of houses, the Allman Brothers didn't just record in Macon, they made their home here. In a few minutes, we'll head to the Big House, known today as the Allman Brothers Band Museum, to chat with Executive Director Richard Brent, who just might know more about these Southern rock innovators than anyone else on the planet. But first, let's make a quick stop at historic Grant's Lounge, a staple on the Macon music scene for over 5 decades, where the Allman Brothers Band, Tom Petty, and many other legends frequently performed, and where the next generation are cutting their teeth today.
The saying is, you never know who's going to show up at Grant's Lounge. We still have that same feel for the musicians to come down and just play. We want to keep the music in Macon. I like the jam sessions. The jam session is just, it's amazing. You would really be surprised as to what Macon has in store for as musicians. They're really awesome, and they love to do it. I know my dad would be proud that Grant's is still here after 51 years because I know he didn't think it was gonna make it.
Visit historicgrants.com to see the upcoming lineup listings and to learn more. So stick around. More from Macon, Georgia is coming up right here on Music Road Trip. Welcome back to Music Road Trip. We're in Macon, Georgia, experiencing the history, the food, and the soul of this Southern music mecca. We just stopped off for a hot slice at local favorite Ingleside Village Pizza, walking distance from the Allman Brothers Band Museum, and now we're all set to take a tour with Executive Director Richard Brent. Richard, I love being a tourist when I come places, and this is an incredible photo op. Tell us about it.
Yeah, obviously I was mentioning earlier about H&H being, still considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest live album ever recorded. So, we kind of built a photo opportunity for fans and tourists to come here and recreate that iconic photo. So just recently, Daniel Donato came through with his band, so he was the latest one who posed for the picture and all that stuff. So it's a lot of fun.
Let's go check out the house and see what's in there.
Let's head on in. Yeah, this is one of my favorite rooms here.
Tell me about these pieces.
Yeah, these are great. So this is actually one of Dwayne Allman's Marshall 50 amplifiers, Plexi. It's one of the two behind him in this picture here, and it's actually owned by Derek Trucks.
Oh. And look over here, we've got all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, so
how did you acquire all this stuff? Was it given to you, or?
Well, it comes from everywhere. The Allman Brothers band to this area, people didn't necessarily want to share it with the world.
Right.
It was kind of like their little secret, and they wanted to keep it that way. But it was
hometown boys.
Yeah, but it was too big. You couldn't contain it. It was gonna find a way. So that's
I was
exactly
going to say, you
happened.
can almost say that people make the pilgrimage to Macon just to come see this house, because their music spread out so far and wide across the world.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's so much musical history here. I mean, Macon is just a really great town.
Until 1979, the Allmans called Macon home, and their contributions and exploits have become a legendary part of this town's history. But what made them want to live together?
They were paying $225 a month rent here back in that time, which was pretty expensive. I think that they knew that the way they were going to be able to stay here is for everybody to kind of pitch in, so they all lived here, But yeah, I mean, that was what was so special about the Allman Brothers, was that it wasn't about Greg and Dwayne, the two actual siblings, but it was about just the tightness of the whole unit.
So who painted this beauty?
This is Steve Penley. He's a local guy. He's now the artist for the world of Coca-Cola. I think prior to him, it was Andy Warhol, I believe. So, believe it or not, this pool table actually belonged to Greg and Cher when they were married. Dickie Betts and Sandy Blue Sky's wedding invitation right there.
What's up with this crazy guitar here?
Yeah, that's a cool limbic guitar. Dickie Betts was having made for them. They were big fans and friends with the Grateful Dead, specifically Jerry Garcia. And the Allman Brothers ended up actually buying the Grateful Dead's gear at one point. And then all the Allman Brothers' old gear went to a band called Grinder Switch. And so Grinder Switch took this cabinet here and they stripped all the Toltecs off of it, get it down to the bare wood, and they put bean sacks on it. This is the room where Dickie wrote Ramblin' Man at about 3:30 in the morning, one night. But this particular table, it was one of the original tables from the H&H. And this is our beloved Mama Louise.
Mama Louise.
I've seen a lot of grown men stop right at that door, too afraid to step over the threshold there, because they're just in awe of his greatness. But in this case here, we actually have Dwayne's first guitar, which is a 59 Junior. And then this is the famous Gold Top, the Layla guitar. It's 57 Gold Top. That gets out, gets played sometimes. So I'm honored to have both these guitars here. Then it filters on through to everybody's favorite Casbah room. But yeah, this was the room that they'd kick back, listen to music, maybe work on some songs, but between the Opus Suite and this room, there's just so much natural light that comes through here.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's overcast today, but on a hot summer, sunny day here in Macon, Georgia, it's beautiful.
The Allman Brothers Band Museum at the Big House is a mecca for the biggest Allman Brothers Band fans in the world. The best way to support its future is to come see this amazing house, but donations are also accepted, and the gift shop is open now at thebigHousemuseum.com. Next stop, the H&H. You heard Richard mention Macon music matriarch Mama Louise a few minutes ago, and now we're off to learn how this soul food maven sustained rock and roll and how the H&H became the preferred soul food stop for more than a few famous folks.
H&H Restaurant's been open since 1959, and the Moonhanger Group took it over several years ago when it was about to close, and we just tried to keep it going because it's a Macon institution. The Allman Brothers ate here. The story is that they were trying to put some change together to buy one or two plates, and Mama Louise saw what was going on and said, "Come on in, sugar, let me feed you." And so friendship was born, and she fed them, and before they had any money, then they go on the road, they make money, they come back, and they pay off their tab, or or help her out, and they had a really good, really strong relationship, and she kind of became the matriarch to that whole scene that was happening here in the 70s with Phil Walden and Capricorn. And so she was like a mother to a lot of these musicians. This is based off in a picture of one of the Allman brothers eating in the H&H in the early days. And then you have our matriarch, Miss Mama Louise, and also Inez Hill, who was, she actually was the founder, and she brought her cousin, Miss Louise Hudson, in early, and they ran this thing for many years. Well, this place looks very similar to the way it always did. When we came in, we took down some of the pictures and reframed them and cleaned them and did a little cleaning, but everything, the colors and the way it was, everything looks the same. So, and a lot of this stuff has been here forever, like this this frying pan that was presented to Mama Louise by Capricorn Records as the logo. Over here we have, this whole wall is covered with pictures of people from the Macon music scene, and many that came and hung out here and left these pictures for Mama to hang. We've got, Otis Redding here, got Little Richard up there, and as you go down, you'll get into the Molly Hatchets, Marshall Tucker Band, Allman Brothers Band, Dickie Betts. This big red circle here is a table that the Allman Brothers used to sit at.
So when I come in here and I'm going to eat, there's breakfast starting when?
We're open from 7 to 3, Tuesday through Sunday. We close on Monday. But yeah, we do breakfast and then we roll right into lunch and close up around 3. Some of my favorite breakfast items are the Midnight Rider biscuit, which pays homage to Greg Allman. Mm-hmm. And we also have the Red Dog is my favorite, which is amazing. It's fried boneless chicken with collard greens on top and a poached egg and 2 types of gravy. It's amazing.
Collard greens is the best in Macon.
Of course.
Creamy macaroni and cheese, Velveeta. Then you got a homemade peach cobbler. You also got a homemade banana pudding to die for.
That's so decadent.
I hope y'all got a big appetite.
Oh yeah, no, I'm thinking the banana pudding myself. We're to the point where I think we're going to have lunch.
Okay.
So where can people find out more about the H&H?
You can find us on H&H Macon at Facebook, Instagram.
I don't know what everyone else is eating, but this is all mine.
All right, you go for it.
From the H&H, we wanted to make our final stop the Rose Hill Cemetery, where tour guide extraordinaire Rex Dooley showed us serene sights like where Dickie Betts wrote In Memory of Elizabeth Reed, the first instrumental written by a band member.
What's ironic, Maud Brown has more songs written about her than Elizabeth Reed does, purely through the famous association. Poor Maud sits all alone, a single flower beside her stone, is how a band called Leftover Salmon from Colorado sang that.
And to pay our respects to Dwayne, Greg, Barry, and Butch. According to Rex, all the members of the Allman Brothers Band will one day be buried here. That's it for now, folks, but don't worry. There's so much more music to explore all over this country, and we'll take you there, right here on Music Road Trip.